Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Alter Ego Podcast. I'm your host, Jack Austin. With me, as always, Mr. Ryan. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, just living the dream. And my little Jasmine Flowers here with her little mini-me. How are you?
We're great. What was that going to be?
I have no idea.
I'm your Jack Austin host for the evening.
I'm your Jack Austin half-ass. That's what I thought you were going.
All I know is I was up till 4 a.m. with a baby.
Yes.
So here I am. My brain's half on. My brain's half on. It is what it is.
I let you sleep most of the day.
She did, for sure, 100%. I'm just complaining more than I should.
Because he let me sleep most of the night. So we're kind of in shifts right now.
Yeah. Nello, how are you, buddy?
I'm okay.
Welcome back.
I'm excited.
I'm happy you're here.
We're
Me
excited
too.
and we're happy.
Yeah. He's back at that Italian place.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd be more happy if he brought pasta.
What is it, Mamma Mia's?
Yeah.
It's his day off. He
It
doesn't
is
need to
his
bring
day
us
off.
food.
I know
on
he
his day
does.
off.
One day off, guys. You come visit me anytime you want.
Any other day. Not today.
Not today.
This is his day to talk about comics and sports and whatever the hell else. Oh, boy. It's been a busy week for comics. Has anybody seen any news? Anybody seen anything?
No.
Well, you
Yes.
need to check the time with your geared hardware. Watch. These rugged yet stylish watches are the perfect accessory for a man or woman who's always on the go. Whether it's a board meeting or a bar fight, made with high-quality materials and backed up by a lifetime warranty. You can rest assured that your geared watch will be there for you when you need it most. Check them out at www.gearedhardware.com. That's GEARD hardware.com, and use the promo code AlterEgo20 to get 20% off your order. By the way, I was looking at their watches today, thinking about my 20% discount, and they have one called the Juggernaut.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, how appropriate.
Very appropriate.
Maybe I should get a Juggernaut for the Alter Ego show.
I'm just saying they could slide another watch this way while they have the opportunity. I'm throwing it out there.
While they have the opportunity.
Are you going to give up the opportunity for them?
The tan line on my wrist here, my Apple Watch is broken right
no.
now.
Oh, no.
So until I get that fixed, you guys have a shot.
I know a
so
really
that's-
Sounds like you
that's
need
the
one of
window.
those
I know
watches
a really
over
sweet
everybody else.
spot you can go get a watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you'll know it's time to go to Tony and Nello's.
What time
Celebrate
it
your
is?
new
Tony
watch
and
with
Nello's
Tony and
time.
Nello.
That's right. And I misplaced their ad. It's around here
That's okay.
somewhere.
Give it to us
Oh, it's
now.
right here. It's right here.
Give it to you.
Do you want me to give it to you?
Well,
or-
yeah, you're the trained professional.
Tony and Nello's Southern Italian Cuisine and Grill's, a hidden gem that's family owned and operated on the outskirts of St. Petersburg at 1136 Pinellas Bayway, South Tierra Verde, Florida. This is a must-try for a homemade Italian lunch or dinner. Just remember to bring your appetites because the portions are very generous. Call for a reservation today at 727-867-3577 and check out TonyandNellos.com. Whose ad is this? Me or you? .com.
Next week we need to make him do it in Italian.
He's done it in Italian.
I've done it in Italian.
Hold on.
You're late.
Okay.
No, in Italian, like a sports broadcaster broadcasting a soccer game.
Oh.
That would be good.
That would be good.
That would be good.
Okay. Challenge
That's what I
accepted.
want.
Well, how do I goal? The,
Tony and Nellos!
the meatball score. Like, what do I do? I don't understand.
I don't know. That's your homework for the week,
You got
man.
a week.
Oh, the chicken parm just blocked
Yeah.
the shot. Yeah.
You got 6 days.
No. You know, we all know how the soccer announcers sound. They go, oh, I'll tell you what, soup. Meatball!
See?
That was a lot.
It was a lot, but it was accurate. Was it not accurate?
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
Pretty good for somebody who doesn't watch football.
I know. We're going to be watching World Cup together. It's okay.
That would be great.
It's
Actually.
coming. It's coming.
November 20th, right?
Right?
I sadly
wait.
don't believe that we will win, but ituld be cool.
Oh, no. I don't think they have a chance either.
This
I
is
don't
not
either.
a sports
I was
podcast.
telling people the other day, I was like, that's like if, American football was played in the Olympics. The U.S. would win every year. It wouldn't even be close.
Well, you see other players probably neutralizing to other countries who didn't
Still
make the
wouldn't
team.
matter.
I don't know. Maybe Like, what if a Samoan team just showed up with just...
They'd have a shot.
All I know is they'd have a great interior line.
What about those Kiwis?
Yeah. I don't know.
Speaking of Kiwis, by the way, I love New Zealand, and I just want them to say that Nello still loves you. Even though you haven't heard my voice in a while, I love you, Kiwis.
Oh, great. Great.
Uh-oh.
Well,
3, 2,
you
1.
upset the Kiwi fan club. But yeah, so we've got actually a lot of stuff. Oh, goodness. A lot of stuff that we're talking about this
Ooh,
week.
someone's disappointed in your
Yeah.
ad reading.
She wasn't happy with the meatball.
No, she really wasn't. But, okay, well, she doesn't like that DC's first in the news, and that's okay. A lot of people don't, but we got to get into it. It's the biggest story of the week.
No, I think I feel her pain.
It is but it's the biggest story of the week.
I don't know if that's true, but sure, shoot your shot.
They announced 2 co-CEOs to be running DC film and television production. One of them being Mr. Peter Safhran. Do you know who that is?
Not a clue.
But you do know who James Gunn is.
Right.
Yep.
So he is now the co-CEO of DC film and TV.
So he
Hold
took,
on. Now, does this mean that he can't direct Marvel movies anymore?
No, not at all. Not at all.
They're not going to let him,
I
though.
doubt we would see that because that's counterproductive. Because he's going to have way too much on his plate to come back. But that brings me to the thing that I thought was really cool was the first person that he called when he got the deal done was Kevin Feige.
Ooh.
And news came out was that Feige was getting approached by Warner Brothers. They were trying to poach Feige to jump ship from Marvel
They
to
don't have
DC.
those many zeros on that check.
Well, Kevin was like, that's sweet. No, no, thank you. But Kevin has said he was very, very happy for James Gunn. Who wouldn't be? Like, right? That's a dream job.
Is it, though? DC is a ship on fire that's sinking, and there's no chance.
I was going to say,
of-
with other people, maybe, but with a director like James Gunn,
and he's like the low-hanging fruit of Marvel, if you ask me.
what?
I just don't think he's as...
He's the executive producer of almost all the Avengers movies. He made the Guardians from nothing to one of the most prominent franchises in all of Marvel. I think he is a top tier.
I don't like his
not to
Peacemaker
mention
series.
Not
Don't
to
you
mention
ever disrespect James Gunn when you're talking to me.
I'm just telling you the truth.
well, we did a Peacemaker episode, and what didn't you like about it?
I didn't like that there was like the multiple villain aspect between his dad being the racist Red Dragon and then the
White
alien
Dragon.
butterfly thing. It was just weird. And
Yeah,
then,
boy, White Dragon, he don't like color.
And then the only good thing about the Peacemaker series was Vigilante. The rest, garbage.
I'm going to disagree with
Hard.
you. Yeah, I'm going to disagree
Vigilante
with you.
should
But
get
that's
his own
okay.
show.
But so that I don't disagree with. But that's a James Gunn baby. That's something that he took out of obscurity.
Right, it
and
can't
made
get
good.
any worse for DC.
So here's my thing for DC, and we are incorrect to say that. We are, and I think that's an unpopular opinion right now, is that you can't
Honestly-
say bad things about DC. But here's the thing.
They can't go anywhere but up.
We're
You can't get any lower.
Let's stop right there and just say only when it comes to the movies and the TV. Because when it comes to animated, DC is the king. They are number one. When it comes to comics and comic book series, they're great. They've never fallen off. But popular media likes to now hang success on your movie box office and your TV. And that's the only thing DC has that's not really going well for them right now. Marvel, gangbusters. They're killing it everywhere. And I'm kind of loving this mentality from the DC universe that I want to tap into as well. But comics, great. Characters, they've got thousands and thousands of great characters that they have used in their comic series and haven't seen a lot of good stuff when it comes to the TV or when it comes to the movie, people that they have been focused on or focused on incorrectly, in my opinion, and things that can really grow. So getting James Gunn, who's done really well with Peacemaker and has done gangbusters for Marvel, I think is an absolute slam dunk for them.
Was Guardians 2 really that good compared to Guardians 1?
Guardians 2 is solid.
Guardians.
Solid, but not excellent.
So hold on. This is another thing that we talk about all the time on this show. You have something you knew nothing about. You had characters you knew nothing about.
I was actually just about to bring this up.
You're introduced to all these characters, them being brought together as a team. That's amazing. You didn't know anything about it, and it's there in front of you. So that is always going to hold its unique little baby in front of you. And now, especially because I would venture to say 90% of moviegoers didn't know who the Guardians were before James Gunn.
I will honestly say I had no idea who they were.
So you got something brand new. You got something that you loved. And then we're going to compound on that story. A completely different journey, a completely different dynamic. You've got Guardians and heroes that are together. It's not meant to be the same thing. It's like comparing apples and oranges. You can still compare them, but hey, I'll eat them both. I think Guardians 2 was a very good movie. I like that it went further into the backstory of a lot of those heroes and that you got to see why Peter Quill was so damn important.
Yeah.
And then that was the big tie-in and lead-in to Avengers.
Yep.
So I think, yes, Guardians 2 was a massive hit, and I can't wait for Guardians 3. But that's what I say with
Isn't
DC.
that coming? Or no, the holiday special is coming.
What I was going to say, though, was I was wondering if James Gunn has something else in mind for DC where he takes some DC characters that are really not that known, and he almost does a whole Guardians
Vigilante
on that side.
Vigilante? Peacemaker?
Vigilante should get his own show.
Yeah.
That's what they should do.
Well, Peacemaker was not somebody who had that sort of, and I say he only did Peacemaker. He did the Suicide Squad too. And I thought the Suicide Squad with Bloodsport and all those other guys, that did just as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I didn't mind the Suicide Squad, but I still think I would have rather seen the first done better. The first one done better.
I thought the
first
first
Guardians
one was
one
better.
No, not Suicide Squad.
Oh, sorry.
Suicide
Oh,
Squad.
so you're talking about the Deadshot Will Smith
Yes.
movie. Gotcha.
I was like, you had a lot of opportunity there. I honestly would venture to say if you could take like half of the first Suicide Squad, half of the second Suicide Squad, make a whole nother movie, I'm there for it.
Mm-hmm.
See Will
Make a
Smith,
whole new Suicide Squad again.
Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Peacemaker.
I want them,
Put all those big stars in a movie is what I would love to see.
Sure.
I want DC to take the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and Robert Pattinson Batman, and I want them to merge and like do that.
I think that's already been publicly debunked as not happening.
I know, but it should.
Yeah.
I don't think it should.
I think they can let the Todd Phillips Joker be the Todd Phillips Joker in that universe. I think adding on, because you saw how inept he was in the first movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was crazy. He wasn't this criminal mastermind. So to take him from that area of mental illness where...
But it was the
he's-
build-up.
No, but this is what I'm saying. That character, Arthur, whatever his last name was, he didn't have that criminal aspect to him. All he had was the mania and the craziness. So why are you now going to make him this? I mean, obviously they show that cult following and him being in the mental hospital.
But he did murder.
He did, but murdering. Is that something that Batman's going to show up to? Because he wouldn't even be on Batman's radar. See what I'm saying? And you want a crime don Joker. You want that guy who's out there robbing banks and killing people and doing absolutely terrible things in a very maniacal, systematic way before you get Batman involved, because that's like that. So Joaquin Phoenix's Joker and Robert Pattinson's Batman to me is like fixing a broken front door by knocking the house down, because that Joker can't fight. He can't do anything.
Yet.
I'm just saying that. Well, here's the other problem that DC has, and we talked about it on Black Adam, is that DC has this massive issue with forgettable villains.
Agreed.
And you don't have a good villain in his Joker yet. You have a good crazy person. You have an excellent story. You have a good world to build on. But do you have a for real, legit antagonist? And do you want him to show up and then Batman show up and beat the brakes off of him and then him go to jail? It just doesn't make sense.
But wasn't that the problem in the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson? I don't know. I didn't like the Riddler, maybe.
I loved the Riddler. I thought he was somebody who was finally 2-3 steps ahead of the Batman and was not afraid to actually kill people. And the other Riddler, like Jim Carrey's Riddler, was the last one that we saw, or the TV before that.
Caffeine will kill you.
Yeah, it was too crazy. So for this kid to be grounded in reality and be so deeply involved in the story and killing people left and right, even trying to kill Bruce Wayne, I thought he was an excellent villain. That Batman movie, The Batman, might be my favorite Batman other than Dark Knight.
Okay, I was going to say. Christian Bale's series is pretty good, except for the
His
last
series is really good.
Dark Knight takes the cake for me. I will watch that almost any time it comes on.
And
man.
it's Heath Ledger, man. It's Heath Ledger.
I
For
swear
those-
if I could bring one person back from the dead, it's probably him. Give me a second one, damn
For
it.
those 7 minutes that Heath is on screen, he created the greatest comic book villain of
It killed
all
him.
time.
He's actually on screen for 32 minutes.
32, is it
Or
really?
something like, yeah, it's actually that high. I actually went back and looked at it because I was like, he's got to be in this movie more than 8 minutes. And he's actually on screen for like a half an hour.
Okay, of a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, 2.5 hour movie, yeah.
Do you think James Gunn will pull off what you were talking about before we went to the Batman tangent?
Do I think he can bring Warner Brothers out of obscurity?
Well, besides that, do you think they'll ever get DC versus Marvel?
Oh, he did bring that up.
Yeah.
That's
He
what
said
that's
he
where I
pitched-
thought you were going.
So here's another thing too, is that James Gunn had a big comment when he signed that deal, was that $1 from Marvel is not $1 for DC, which makes sense. He says by doing better at DC, you're not going to do worse for Marvel. And The Rock said the same thing. We're not trying to take a bite out of Marvel. We know we can't touch Marvel. The fact that DC has finally said, okay, all right, it's not a competition. Let's just start making some good content and getting some valuable people on our side. I think that is the best possible step DC could have ever made.
Yeah.
Now, to get those two guys and get them in the front office and say, okay, DC, here's where we're going from here, and have an actual continuous story and something to maybe, not recreate Marvel, but their formula works,
Yeah.
right? Their
Yeah,
formula.
I think the formula works great. My only question is, where do you begin now from DC? Are you starting from scratch? Because you just dropped Black Adam, and The Rock's this guy who just doesn't want to give up what he's done.
Well, they did say that Black Adam was going to be phase 1. So I think them having, I don't want to drop spoilers for Black Adam,
But phase 1, that's where you start?
but they introduced a couple characters in that movie that had to be from the old guard, right? So you can't introduce those characters and say you're going to ignore the previous story. But just like Marvel, DC's got so many fantastical stories that they can go through and do. You don't need to play me all the old hit records. Give me something new.
But why do they keep missing on these villains? If you could just, I don't know if it's when they translate to the movies, if they're not following canon or comic books or whatever lore enough, but like if you say that DC has some of the best villains, and then when they transfer to the big screen or like the TV monitor,
Yeah.
they fall short. Why?
I think
How?
it's because the villains they choose, and then
That's
also,
part of it.
and then the way they choose them, not choose them, but the way they decide to show them.
Hell, Wonder
If that
Woman
makes
2,
sense. Like,
they ruined her. They
Yeah.
ruined that whole storyline.
that whole thing was terrible.
Terrible. Shazam, great movie, terrible villain.
Well, it seems like they're just trying to do gotcha moments. That's
Yeah.
all they're trying to work on is these big moments instead of making you care or understand about the villain and why they do what they do.
Yeah, that was one of the things that, like, my biggest takeaway from Thanos himself was, like, in the Marvel was you understood what he wanted and what he was after
Right.
and what he was willing to give up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then even when he did what he did, you're still sitting there like, damn, man, he might be right. Like,
Yeah.
He ain't necessarily the worst person in the world.
And that was Joker, because Joker would look at people and be like, if I say that I'm going to blow up a truckload of soldiers, nobody cares. That's what's supposed to happen. But when I say the mayor's supposed to die, everybody loses their mind. And you look at it like, holy shit, he makes such a good point.
Yeah. And I love the biggest thing for me was in the Thanos series is as soon as he snaps, he does exactly what he says he's going to do. He's on that thing by himself on his farm.
Yep.
Arm messed up, just farming food.
Yep.
Sitting and resting.
His
He's
job was done.
He was done.
What's the worst Marvel villain?
The worst Marvel villain. Oh, boy. You mean in comics or?
No, let's stick to the movies. Let's stick to the movies.
In terms of movies, who has been the worst Marvel villain? Let me pull those up. Let me pull those movies up. Let me pull up phase 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I can tell you right now, it's probably EGOT, whatever the hell that was.
Ego from
2.
Guardians?
Guardians
You're
2.
clearly on the Guardians 2 kick.
No, I just think either he wasn't done correctly,
He wasn't, not necessarily.
or it was
'cause-
just shit writing. Because in that opinion, that was just a terrible villain, in my opinion.
Why?
It was just bad. It just
why?
lacked something.
Okay.
He's an all-powerful being.
a celestial.
But why?
It's just so bad. It's so poorly written, poorly done.
Let's see. I'm looking through the Marvel catalog here to see who I feel is the worst villain. Oh, easy. Didn't have to go far. I think it was Malekith in Thor: The Dark World.
I guess.
Now, are we talking about the MCU?
Yeah.
Or just all together? Because
we're talking MCU.
Yeah, MCU, Marvel, Cinematic Universe.
well, I mean, are we talking like the old or the Fantastic Four? Because that new Fantastic Four, the
You
villain
could
in that was
definitely-
definitely pretty trash.
You
That
thought-
was pretty trash.
I did not see that one, so
Yeah,
I
it was pretty trash.
couldn't speak to it. Morbius was pretty bad too. I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God!
I couldn't
Laura
deal
tried
with it.
watching that. I couldn't. I just fell asleep.
It wasn't. I couldn't get through it at all. The villain for that I didn't care about. I didn't understand.
I didn't want to understand.
Right.
Oh, okay. Listen, the villain in that was dumb. It was his boy that he had, his friend from when he's young. Spoiler alert.
Right.
And he all of a sudden becomes a bad guy because he wants to get rid of his disease.
And
they
I
have
love
the same
Matt Smith.
So, to me, it's like, well, he fights his best friend. Like that's terrible.
I just don't. I don't care.
Right, 'cause
Malekith to me. I mean, that story was great. The Thor was great. The introduction of the Reality Stone was great. But Malekith and the Dark Elves wanting the Reality Stone just to turn everything to darkness, to take over for what purpose? Other than we just like it dark.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the reason I still love that movie is because Thor, Jane Foster, Loki, Heimdall, they hit really hard in that movie. They do great. And Odin losing his wife, and Frigga, being that presence, trying to redeem Loki and trying to be the dutiful mother at the same time, and then dying. It was just such a hard hitting thing. And Malekith, to me, I was like, I don't care about these guys. I don't care. So that you wanted an answer, there's my answer.
And you took the guy from Fantastic Four.
That, or honestly, I wasn't really big on your boy from what was it? Iron Man 3.
Oh,
Hammer.
no, not Justin Hammer. Justin Hammer's a national treasure. You will not talk down about Justin Hammer on this podcast.
Sorry.
The
No. You're talking about the Mandarin.
The Mandarin.
And
Oh my God,
it
yeah.
was
No.
Guy
it was,
Pearce.
The guy who actually played it was Hammer. I think he was technically the villain, right?
The guy who got hot or
and
whatever.
Iron Man 2 was Whiplash.
Yeah, see, Whiplash I wasn't crazy about either, but
Okay.
I liked the story. I understood what he was doing.
Sure.
I liked how he was almost like a Tony Stark, just as smart in a cave. He can build whatever, and I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
I like Justin Hammer because he was a rich idiot. And he was just trying to play Tony Stark, and he just
so bad,
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And the way that actor, whose name eludes me right now, I can't find it, but he is so good. And the fact that he was in the Long Live the King short with Trevor Slattery gives me hope that Justin Hammer's out there somewhere. And maybe we see him in the Armor Wars movie.
And I think my favorite villain so far is Killmonger.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, to me it was the father in Shang-Chi was one of my favorites ever. Yeah. And Thanos. I mean, I can't right now in good conscience. Thanos is the first villain that I've been like, I actually would totally be down with this.
Yeah.
You want to kill half of all of life? You know what? I'll volunteer. I'll be one of them.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yep. Wow, we kind of jumped to Marvel there, but DC, yes. So, the HBO Max, now they've done some live action shows. There apparently was a Green Lantern show in development.
Was there?
That was coming.
Is it
Why?
better than the movie?
Starring, it was supposed to be focusing on
Ryan Reynolds?
No.
Thank God.
I'm joking.
Focusing on Guy Gardner and Alan Scott, who are the Green Lanterns, which I was kind of like,
Is
why?
that the Black Green Lantern?
No, that's Jon Stewart.
Oh, that's what I
And
thought.
Jon Stewart is the guy who I'm like, it's like you're looking at all your Avengers lineups and you're like, guys, Thor's not there. Why do you not have Thor? You're talking Green Lantern without Jon Stewart. It's like, what? Why are we talking Green Lantern if we don't have Jon Stewart?
I don't know.
And so now that entire show is being reworked to focus solely on Jon Stewart.
Good.
So I'm kind of like, let's go, DC.
That's one of the things from the DC universe that's really been missing for me.
What's that?
Is Jon Stewart though? When
Yeah.
I think of like the Justice League and everything, it's where's the Green Lantern? You know what I mean?
It's funny because you tried to censor yourself there, but a lot of people who don't know his name go, "Where's the Black Green Lantern?"
The Black Green Lantern. Yeah, where's the Black Green Lantern? So, and it's funny because even though I know his name is Jon Stewart, I automatically think of your boy from the other Jon Stewart.
Yeah, from Daily Show.
Daily Show. That's what I think.
So my thing with Jon Stewart is I always gravitated more towards him than Hal Jordan because he always kind of had that serious demeanor to him. He was always very militant and very straightforward, and less of kind of like the. I guess they kind of made Hal Jordan comic relief in a lot of videos and a lot of movies, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Oh, I feel it.
But when Jon Stewart showed up, you were like, oh, this Green Lantern is a little bit different. He is going to put the boots to you.
I take that back. The
He wants
worst,
all the smoke.
the worst overall superhero movie is Green Lantern. Its villains and everything about it was terrible.
You do know Morbius is a thing that exists.
Yeah. And I can tell you right now,
Have you ever
I'm
seen
talking about the movie. I'm talking about
I
the movie.
enjoyed watching the Green Lantern more just because it's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Even he couldn't help it.
Morbius, I honestly
Yeah.
don't. I'm watching this. I'm like, wow. I have never really been I watched the movie and been like, what the entire time.
I watched that movie after months and everybody crapping on it. And I kind of got this mentality. I was like, I'm going to watch this movie and I'm going to like it.
And you could.
I was like, I'm going to watch it and I'm going to find the things that I like about this movie. And I am going to give it every possible shot.
Did the same thing.
I made it 45 minutes and I was like, it's just, there's no redeeming this.
I went to sleep. 30 minutes in, I'm like,
I actually fell
Bad.
asleep, woke up, watched it again, and then I actually got all the way through it. And I'm like, wow, this really is that bad.
It is.
Like, you don't even have to do a showing because
is the fight scene any good at the end with him and Matt Smith? Is that worth watching?
No, not really.
Nothing? No.
Matt Smith, you keep mentioning him. He's in House of the Dragon now.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the guy with no eyebrows?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got a cool dragon.
I'm not
There's a
gonna
guy
lie.
that I always
And
see.
he fights the crab. It was probably the best battle in that whole movie.
That whole sequence is actually kind of weird. Just left you like, what? Like when you're having a final battle and a throwdown, I shouldn't be asking why are you doing certain things. I'm like, why did this happen?
So wait, does the guy get powers at the end?
Oh yeah.
He
boy
does the
takes him
injection too, or
to
whatever
himself,
the hell
yeah.
he does. Because
And-
he's like, I'm gonna save myself and save
yeah.
us, and then he's like, oh my god, that's the last thing I remember is he's like, you took it when I told you not to. He's like, yeah, why not? And then that blacked out.
Yeah, one of those
I didn't
things
care
where
after that.
if you're a scientist doing this and you know it's a bad idea and it shouldn't exist, why do you still have the shit around?
Why did you
Right.
send it to
Like-
your friend?
Yeah, why would you do that? Someone's gonna take, and you saw where it was going, and you're like, this is just bad writing all the way around. It's one of those movies where
Hell,
there
it-
were really no surprises. It was part of the course, straight line. You knew exactly what you were getting yourself into.
Interesting. All right. Well, hey, let's get off of Marvel for a second because we do have Marvel later on. So if we want to get back to it, we can. But we got some TV and movie stuff that I want to talk about briefly before we take a break. First and foremost, James Cameron of Avatar. I guess this is kind of a tie-in for both. He says that he feels like comic book movies don't focus on relationships the way that they're supposed to. And that's like, he says that every relationship feels like they're in college. I don't know what he means by that, but I kind of was like, okay, all right. But is that something that you guys agree with? Are you out there in alter ego land? Like, is that something? Here's the full quote. When I look at these big, spectacular films, I'm looking at you, Marvel and DC. Like Marvel and DC are going to go, oh no, James Cameron. It doesn't matter how old the characters are. They all act like they're in college. They have relationships, but they really don't. They never hang up their spurs because of their kids, the things that really ground us and give us power, love, and purpose.
That's not true.
Those characters don't experience it, and I think that's the way to make movies. That's not the way to make movies.
Didn't Hawkeye retire for his kids?
That was one of the things he was trying to do, for sure.
Right? And they just kept bringing him back, or he needed to go back when his kids disappeared, right? After his kids disappeared, that's when he went
That's when he became
crazy.
a Ronin.
Yeah. But he was retired, right?
Yeah.
So that's incorrect.
I mean,
Two-
the relationship between just Hawkeye and Black Widow themselves was amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
The relationship
when you have two
between-
friends that are literally fighting to kill themselves for the other,
Yeah.
They even built a relationship with Scarlett Johansson and Ruffalo, the Hulk, and
That one was kind of.
But I'm just saying, nobody watches these movies to do that.
To me, it was also Tony Stark. I don't even want to go back in time. I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to save half the population because I've got my little girl now.
Yeah.
I've got her. I married Pepper. That's all I wanted. But what does he mean by they're in college? Like, I don't get it.
Is he just looking at Thor movies? Because Thor has been an eternal, immature. Who cares? He's a god.
If he's literally basing that off of just Thor, Love and Thunder, then he's got something wrong with him because he's probably never seen any of the other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't Captain America talk about Peggy?
Yeah, and that's his whole thing. I've been watching slowly all of the MCU back, and I'm actually on Age of Ultron, and that is his big thing. When Wanda messes with his mind, all he can think about is Peggy Carter. And in Winter Soldier, he goes to the old SHIELD office and he sees Peggy, and Black Widow brings it up, and he's kind of like, he doesn't even respond to her. He doesn't even want to talk about Peggy. He's just staring at her picture, and he's just like, I'm going to move on. I can't go into this story about this woman that I gave up.
Doesn't he go back in time after the Age of Ultron and hang up his boots and get with her and stuff?
Yeah.
I don't understand what this guy's talking about.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Especially because most men, they grow up, they get a wife, they have kids, or do whatever they're going to do, have a family. That's what
I cried
that's
at the end of Iron Man.
Yeah.
When Tony Stark died.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
You were not alone.
That funeral scene was legit.
Yeah. I don't know. We got a few more that we'll talk about, but hey, let's take a quick break, and because I know these next couple ones are going to be very wordy for at least you two gentlemen. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. And we're back. The Jedi stories on Disney Plus that came out. Did you guys see that?
No, I'm still watching
the series
Andor.
that's focusing on. We're going to be having an Andor episode for sure.
Let's go.
But the Jedi stories, it focuses on Count Dooku and Ahsoka Tano. It is out on Disney Plus right now. I highly suggest you watch it. It is
animated
in the style of Clone Wars.
Not bad.
And a certain high-ranking Star Wars character shows up with the original actor playing his voice. Pretty cool. And it is certified fresh at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Holy shit.
With 56-something reviews.
Rotten Tomatoes,
I don't really care about Rotten Tomatoes, but sometimes they get it right. And I watched it. I watched the whole series.
100% is a lot on that show.
Yeah,
I know. It's kind of a dig at our buddy Rob, who likes to only base everything he watches on Rotten Tomatoes.
Everything off Rotten Tomatoes.
Some people have their niches.
That's true. But Rotten Tomatoes can miss.
Have you been watching Andor?
Yes.
I don't want to talk about it, but what do you? It's pretty good.
So
pretty good.
We've said it on this show several times. I'm more of a Star Trek than a Star Wars guy because I'm sick of the dudes with laser swords always showing up and being the most important people when it's, Star Wars and a galaxy far, far away, and you want to focus on 10 people who are in touch with the Force. It gets on my nerves. But when they show these human stories like Rogue One, which obviously Cassian is from Rogue One, that's where I'm like, yes. And you look at Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, and you're like, okay, there are more people in the universe than just the Jedi and the Sith and the Empire. I mean, the Empire is always going to be that overarching story, but to me, I like the more humanized stories, and I feel like of what I've seen so far, Andor has captured that very well.
Ding!
I'm waiting for Space Ninjas before I really get into Star Wars, but,
I hear you.
Space Ninjas.
Space Ninjas.
You haven't heard about Space Ninjas?
What?
I mean, they got
Coming
all
out
these
on
Jedi.
Paramount
I want
Plus.
Space Ninjas, man.
Is that for real?
No, I just made that up.
Damn, I almost believed it.
But yeah, go see that. It's really cool. The Count Dooku arc is the best one for sure. It's really good. I never watched Clone Wars, so I'm not too attached to Ahsoka Tano. I didn't know much about Count Dooku, but if you watch this series and you know who his Padawan is, you're like, oh my God.
It's like that.
It's like that.
Wow.
I was like, man, I get it. I get it. I get why he acted the way he did. That's all I'm going to say.
Ooh, now I have to go home and watch this.
Here's a big one. Different story. Turning directions. We have a new Geralt of Rivia, Mr. Henry Cavill. out as the Witcher.
Man, do you know how mad I kind of am now that I had to watch this for the podcast?
No, man, don't be mad.
No, you shut your mouth. Didn't think I was going to like The Witcher. Ended up loving The Witcher. 99% of it was because of Henry Cavill.
Okay.
Now he's done. I didn't watch 3 seasons of this shit. And here I go.
Wait, there's 3 seasons? I thought we only had 2 seasons out of it.
Three's coming.
Yeah, three's
coming.
Okay,
three's coming.
So this next season still has him.
And that's
Either
it.
way.
So there's 2 theories around this. One is that he will be reprising Superman, and as we talked about, James Gunn and Peter Safhran taking over DC. They want Superman to be a pivotal part. Obviously, he has to be. He is almost as famous as Batman in terms of like
you know what?
top tier.
Ryan don't care. Ryan wants his Geralt. They got Michael B. Jordan playing Superman. Go ahead.
The other theory that he's going to get to will make you realize why he's actually a G for leaving.
One that he wants to go to Superman, and I know you don't care. And by the way, when you say Michael B. Jordan is Superman, that's different. That's a different character. That's not Kal-El. That's a whole different person. Michael B. Jordan could still show up as Superman, and I'd be all for it. Or whatever they want to call him. Even if they want to call him Superman, I don't care. But Henry Cavill is still the Kal-El Clark Kent Superman. And so they feel like he's going to be a big part of their stuff going forward. And it's Henry Cavill. Why would you not want one of the top tier actors, physical presences to play Superman like that? The other theory is that in season 4, they were starting to divert too much from the source material of The Witcher, and they weren't sticking true to the games and the lore of The Witcher
or whatever.
And Henry Cavill is person who's played The Witcher for hours and hours and hours and hours, and that's like me with Gears of War.
He wanted to stick with the source story,
and
the
they're
writers
like, we're
like,
gonna go this direction, and Henry's like, well, I'm going to go a different direction. And if that's the case, hats off to you, Henry. I'll give you the applause for that one.
For argument's sake, sometimes them varying from a story, as you have put it on this show, is not necessarily a bad thing.
Sure.
So I wonder if he saw a script and maybe it was like, this is trash, and he bounced. If that's the case, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
If it was just because he was like, it's kind of going to veer, and for him to step away from a role like this, being nerd culture as he is, like that guy, I am very disappointed. Now, I'm going to go hit up Netflix. I'm going to sue him for like emotional distress. I want
he's
my
standing up for what
back.
you just said. There's so much to do with The Witcher. Yeah. There's so much, and they haven't even scratched the freaking surface.
Yeah,
and they're gonna change it already, and it's just now started working.
With the house, when the whole thing, like, I don't even play The Witcher, but I've understood what that is. I've read, and I'm
you played the game?
Can't wait. No. Oh, you haven't heard the story?
I went to play the game. The controls did not do it for me.
No,
I could not get the bearings of combat, and it was just clunky. I did not feel fluid with the controls, and that took me out of the game faster than anything. When the little pack of dogs or whatever they are, little demon dogs, run up on you, and I can't handle them like that, I was like, okay, I'm not going any further because it wasn't getting any better. Yeah. Story, lore, Witcher, I'm here for it. But Wild Hunt, I tried the first time I got in combat. I was
the buttons are quirky.
Maybe this isn't going to work. And then I saw the next round of combat, and I said, okay, let me try to get better. And then I fought one tier monster up that was supposed to be really easy, just part of a mission, and I couldn't even get locked in on him and do what I needed to do.
The Griffin?
Yeah, I think so. And I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. No, for me,
that's what I felt like with Elden Ring.
my story is I bought it for my brother for Christmas. My brother's that guy who will play RPGs till he's blue in the face.
Yeah,
and
sounds like a cool guy.
Yeah, when he came to me and I'm like, "Hey, you finished that game yet?" He's like, "Nah, bro." He's like, "I got like part of the way through it." He's like, "It's way too long." I was like, "If it's too long for you, it's way too long for me. I'm out. I don't have that kind of time to devote to it." So
coming from the guy who played so much Zelda,
bro. It's easy. I can put it in my hands and I can go and travel. Buttons are great. It's just fun.
There is a lot to do in the game, but it's not that bad.
There is. And now we have Liam Hemsworth stepping in to play Geralt of Rivia.
They just made Jasper Geralt. Is that what they did? Like Liam Hemsworth looks like a Jasper type character. It doesn't look like Geralt of Rivia.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think if Liam puts on the muscle that I think he's going to look like a little darker haired Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
And I think physically the way he would look, it'd look fine. You slap that wig on him with the long white hair, he'll look just like him.
Yeah, hey, bro, I need your workout plan.
Yeah.
I need to be as big as Thor.
And listen, if they approached me tomorrow and said, Jack, we need you to play Geralt, I'd be like, I'm in. What gym do you want me at?
Yeah.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Oh, they'll start giving you shots too.
Let me see how big I get first.
No, there's no way they give you shots. You're going into a Hollywood movie. They're gonna be like, yeah, we'll take care of you. Do this. Yeah. Look at all these actors who do all these big movies. They go from.
I'm sure there's
Jack
more
to
to it than just that.
Well, a little help never went.
Again, I don't think it's all that. I think there's a lot of guys that go on these plans and
talking about
actually
The Rock?
work out and diet.
I didn't say any names. You're the one that's saying names.
It's a known fact. It's not hiding anything.
So
All
do you like him coming back as Superman? Do you think that's the way to go? Is DC doing it right? Superman, Black Adam, woo! Is that who you want to see play Superman going forward?
Do I want to see Henry Cavill play Superman?
Or would
I think
you have liked them to just do it again?
Let me just go ahead and tell you, I think Superman is boring. Superman is one of the most boring heroes of all time.
Facts.
Facts.
Don't care about Superman. I love Henry Cavill. If he wants to play Superman, I think he's great for it. Good job. I, again, like looking at heroes that maybe don't always have it all figured out, that are flawed, that have issues. Superman is always, I show up, I laser eye, I punch you in the face, I talk about justice, I go fly up into the sun, get a little quick tan, come down here and whoop your ass.
Amen.
It's always, that's the same shtick with Superman.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, okay, all right, cool. And then it's like, oh, well, he's not the most powerful guy. There's another more powerful guy about him. I'd be like, just the same amount of more powerful that guy is how much more I don't care about him.
Yeah.
It's like these characters, when you look around the room, I mention Deathstroke all the time. Why can't we have a Deathstroke movie? Why can't we have somebody, Deathstroke, orange, black?
Well, that's
this
my
guy?
point.
You know what I'm saying?
Who?
I'd rather watch Aquaman all day. I'd watch Jon Stewart. I'd watch Cyborg. I'd watch Flash. I'd watch all these guys that don't necessarily have the end-all, be-all. And when the problem with that is you have somebody as strong as Superman, you have to bring in villains that Superman can struggle with. And when you bring in villains that Superman struggles with, you take all the rest of your heroes off the table.
Off the table. Yep. I was gonna say my biggest, what I want to see more than anything is I want to see where Superman finally has it with Earth, and he's the bad guy.
Oh yes,
That's what I want. I would rather see that more than anything because to me that's the only way he's polarized.
Batman versus Superman?
No, that was what was teased in the Justice League Zack Snyderverse at the very end,
Yeah.
where heroes and villains alike have to team up because there's nothing they can do to stop.
Didn't they bring him
Superman.
back from the dead?
Yeah, kind of.
So we've seen that.
No.
We just didn't see how it got to
you're
that
not.
point.
You don't know what story he's talking about. There is a Injustice story where the Joker does something to Superman to force him to kill Lois and his son without him knowing, and then he comes to.
Why isn't this a movie?
See what I'm? That's what we're
I'm
talking
really
about.
talking about right
I'm
now.
agreeing. I'm just saying this should be a friggin'
So
movie.
that's when Superman shows up, and it's kind of like, you know what? I've really had enough of all of you. And Batman's like, yo, bro, you're Mr. Dawn of Hope. Don't do this. And Superman's like, nah, I don't think I am anymore. I think I'm going to actually kill the Joker. And you know Batman's big mantra, can't kill. And so Superman says, nah, there's really nothing you can do to stop me, so I'm going to kill him. And then that's when he kills him. The government kind of says, all right, Superman, you need to bring it in a notch. And Superman goes, you know what? I really don't. And there's nobody here that can stop me.
I mean, that would be what a real person in that
he's
position would be.
he's essentially Homelander.
I was gonna say that's the thing I love most about the boys is like Homelander's. Man, what the fuck are you gonna do?
That was my favorite moment from season 3 was when Homelander's like, oh, you got this tape on me. You know what? Let it go. Let it go. Here's what I'm going to do. And he detailed talks about how he's going to take down the infrastructure of the United States, send them back to the Dark Ages. He's like, I'd like for people to like me, but I don't need you to like me.
Exactly.
And that's where that situation happens with Superman. And a lot of the heroes start to form factions. Some people side with Batman. Some people are like, you know what, Superman? I think you're right. Like Damian Wayne goes, dude, why aren't we killing superhero or supervillains? I'm gonna side with this guy. And Bruce is like, come on, Damian, you're my son. He's like, I really don't care.
See, to me, it's funny because you have those two extremes. You have Superman on the other side who he'll do whatever and he's unbeatable, blase blah. And then you have Batman who could be a badass villain, but I don't kill people. Like, to me, that's just kind of weak sauce. Like, what do you really?
It's not weak sauce. It's just a different moral code.
I get the code, but here's the thing: is like it's funny because there's always a gray area because Batman is willing to leave you with your jaw wired shut, four ribs broken, piercing your lungs, and as long as you're breathing, when he walks away, he didn't kill you.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're an inch away from death. Well, you're still gonna make it, and just walk away.
And even if you
at that point, it might be better.
You know what, Batman? That guy died after 6 hours of surgery. You did kill him. He's like, when I left, he was alive.
It's one of those, I saw a meme once where it was like showing the guys that are putting the boxes in the back of the cart. He's like, could you imagine if you just enter like a Craigslist ad and you're just loading boxes, minding your business, and here comes Batman and just beats the shit out of you for nothing?
Leaves you wheezing.
Yeah.
Like, and you find out that, has Batman ever made that mistake?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure
there's guys working the night shift and all they're doing is loading boxes and they just happen to not have the wrapped truck.
Yeah, they just don't know.
And Batman shows up and just beats the brakes off of 4 guys.
Yeah.
One of them's like, I'm doing this extra job for money for Christmas for my family.
I don't care.
Yeah. Do it to the judge. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's just, I don't know, man. Superman, though, for me, is like, I was a little hyped when I saw him. I knew that's who they were talking about, the end of Black Adam. My bad, spoiler alert. But,
oh, God. Anyway, go ahead.
You guys listened last week, so you already know that. But I'm like, really? What are we going to do now? Is it just going to be him and Black Adam fighting each other?
Yeah, that's stupid.
To me,
this is dumb.
To me, I feel like there's the tier of Superman. And I kind of like, okay, maybe I'm crazy. Let me look. Let me see if there really is this whole thing of Black Adam and Superman being on the same tier. And they were like, yeah, they are in terms of power, but they're not, because there was an arc where some demon took over Black Adam and made him very powerful, and he was just beating the brakes off of everybody. And they were like, we don't want to get Superman involved. They're like, well, why not? He's like, because we don't want to deal with Superman if that demon jumps to him. So, okay, there's clearly, we don't want to deal with Superman like that. So he's clearly more powerful.
Yeah.
He's done more powerful stuff. I mean, he's just, that's the problem with Superman. So Black Adam, do I want to see Black Adam and Superman fight? No, I don't, because it's going to be The Rock stroking The Rock's ego and saying, we got to have this be cool, man. We got to be different. We got to let Black Adam beat up Superman.
Is Superman allowed to hit Black Adam more than 4 times in this contract? How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wasn't there limits for how many times?
Hey, listen,
Toretto could punch him or
Superman
whatever?
doesn't need 4 hits.
That's the point.
But what's the point of building up this super battle if Black Adam doesn't get hit? Which he's going to get hit.
No, that's just a silly argument to have. The point is, why would you want to have those 2 characters particularly fighting each other? What's the point?
Yeah.
Doesn't he become a good guy, Black Adam, at one point?
No, he's essentially an anti-hero.
He is now.
He does good things sometimes. He does bad things sometimes,
which I love.
I do too. There are some of my favorite heroes, but the way The Rock does it, I don't like it. I don't.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm like,
we're rocked out.
Did you kill him?
We've hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet.
He's dead now.
Yeah.
Like, you can throw through the guy.
Yeah.
And he's just flying. He's like, did you kill everybody?
Nope.
Now it did.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that is the way to go. But then again, I think if anybody can right that ship, it's James Gunn. Let's go move on to Marvel, shall we?
Your hard on for James Gunn is too hard right now.
I'm going to disagree with you and say, look at the box office, look at his fandom, and look at the products he's made.
Yeah.
And then you tell me I'm wrong.
Proof is in
we'll
the
see what
pudding.
happens.
Exactly.
We'll see what happens because he's going to have a big job.
It's not, I'm just saying.
See, here's the thing, though. It's not like DC doesn't have great characters. Like, one of the most disappointing things I'm wanting to see so bad is
he
the Flash.
agrees with you from your argument from before.
Like, because they do. They have great characters. You got Flash. I would love to see a Static Shock movie. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do and you can see.
Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Martian Manhunter.
And now that
a good villain,
he has that ability and it's at his fingertips, I'm waiting to see what he can do.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to Marvel, huh? Shall we? Let's do it. Worst news I could have possibly gotten all week in terms of Marvel. Things that just make me cringe and hate everything because one of my favorite heroes of all time has never been given a proper day at the movies. And now they're like, oh, guess what? The person who wrote the 2 movies you hate, is going to write and direct the 3rd one. Oh, and by the way, the 3rd one exists. Venom 3. How do you have such a great character, such an alpha tier character, and have so many good arcs for him and do him like this? It's been I with
One
Venom
word.
1. I
Sony.
gave dude.
Yeah, I mean that's it. There is no other word. It's SONY.
I just don't know how Sony signs off on movies other than they just have no idea. Now, this isn't even me as being a comic book elitist for Venom here. I'm not trying to be like that. I'm just saying, guys, there is so much more potential and so much more amazing stuff they could have done with this character.
Yeah.
than
Look at
what they
Spider-Man.
did. And look who took over Spider-Man. Marvel. And
Made
guess
him-
what Spider-Man started doing? Crushing it and becoming the #1 superhero in the world again.
Did Sony make Morbius?
Yeah,
There you go. It's been a reoccurring theme.
it is.
It really is.
It's just, you look at all these things, and Venom, they see box office numbers because people want to go see Venom, and they just are shit in the bed, pardon my French.
I mean, they ruined Carnage.
I'm waiting for them to get to a point where they just like tank out at the box office, and they're like, you know what, Sony? I mean, you know what, Marvel? Just make us an offer.
buy it. Yeah.
But
Make
why
us an
wouldn't
offer.
they just give Marvel creative rights but keep the rights to the character? I just don't understand.
Yeah.
It split the profits in half because let's make $3 billion with Marvel, or let's make $600 million if we're lucky with Sony.
They're not doing $600 million with Sony.
And
I mean, Black Adam's not going to
here's
even
another thing
clear
is like,
500.
they're starting to accept R-rated heroes. Deadpool and Deadpool 2 are on Disney Plus. You have the most violent character you've ever had in Carnage, and you want to make him a love-struck Woody Harrelson who wants to get married and have an existential crisis with his symbiote, who, you guys can get married, but we need to kill Venom. Okay. What?
So dumb.
So what is 3 supposed to be about?
I don't care because I don't want to watch it.
Venom gets married. You didn't know?
I don't know. There's
I mean,
no
Carnage.
part at this point. There's no plot or anything like that at this point. It's in pre-production, but I'm just like, how can you guys call yourselves fans of this movie or of this character and not intertwine him with Spider-Man, which Venom without Spider-Man makes no sense.
Yeah, I've been saying that from day one.
And then you're going to bring in Carnage, and his whole reason for existing was because Cletus Cassidy bit Tom Hardy on the finger, and then the symbiote part got into his blood. The whole origin story of that is so much better. And they have this whole thing at the end of Venom 1 where he goes, no more killing people. Stop killing people. I don't want this. We won't have this partnership if you are going to kill people. And Venom says, okay, you're the best host I've ever had. We are the best together when we are in that symbiotic relationship. So I don't want to give up on you. I will purge all of this evil, all this stuff from my system. And he regurgitates Carnage. And Carnage comes out, leaves the cell. It's a whole new entity. And Venom's like, I'm cool. We're cool. And they're like, great. And then all that evil incarnate goes literally to the next cell to a 13-body life sentence serial killer, Cletus Cassidy, and incarnate evil jumps onto him.
Holy crap.
And so then you have Cletus Cassidy who's like, oh my God. And that's the name. And Cletus is so crazy that the Carnage symbiote doesn't even talk to him. It never speaks. It's always Cletus. He's that crazy. He's that in control that even that incarnate evil doesn't even want to respond to him.
Wow, that's nuts.
He just sits in the corner like, damn, this dude's full.
Yo, this guy. This guy makes me
You
look
have
like
that,
Mickey.
and then you translate that to Woody Harrelson biting Tom Hardy's finger and going, there's something wrong in your blood. I'm like, what am I watching? Like, you really could have gone wild with this. You're going to say, let there be carnage, and then you don't bring the carnage.
Did they bring Venom?
Barely. Venom goes on a soul-searching mission where he jumps from body to body and almost kills people that he jumps from, and then he goes out to this party.
Oh yeah, the party. That's
which, by the way, fire and all that kind of stuff are what freak him out, and this is all bright lights and boom, 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 and all this stuff around him. And Venom's like, I can't believe it. And he's having this like whole monologue about how Eddie doesn't appreciate him. Yeah. What are we doing here?
There's nothing I love more than when they stray so far and it doesn't really make sense.
It's not even straying. It's
but like look at that story. It's like you see that, you hear that, like both of you. I just told you that origin story for Cletus Cassidy, and you were
hurts
like,
my brain.
Wow, that's pretty intense. And I'm like, that's what you have. Go look at what you got.
Yeah. Oh no. See, I knew that story, and that's when I told you it's gonna be trash. They're not gonna do it justice.
Yeah.
I mean, look how they did Venom. It's not justice. Like, there should have been no Venom without Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole arc of it, too, is because Brock hates Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Here he hates Spider-Man. He hates Peter Parker on both levels of their lives. And him and the Venom symbiote get together, and they're like, let's do this. We're gonna handle this for ourselves because Spider-Man rejected the symbiote. Spider-Man rejected Eddie Brock, got him fired from the Daily Bugle. So let's go take care of business. And then they get their asses whooped. And in the media, that's when Brock's looking at himself like, I don't like the way we're being portrayed right now. This is not a good look. We can't do this. Let's try the hero thing. Let's be the protector. We have these abilities. Let's do that. And that's where that whole thing happens. That's right, I think, before Lethal Protector.
But Disney's given people the green light for rated R, and there's a market for it. And even didn't they do some conference where the guy said there will be more rated R conference content on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
What the hell? Let's go. Gloves are off. Disney said they're going to do it. Monkey see, monkey do. Isn't that how that works?
To an extent, you're going to have Deadpool, who is Deadpool already in rated R. There's no way you're going to take PG-13 best-selling Spider-Man and start making rated R movies.
Sure.
It's not going to happen.
Well, so there's...
Why does it have to be Spider-Man in general? It can be like we're watching the Joker and the Dark Knight. They're not even in the same thing. Or the Joker and the Matt Reeves Batman. They're not even in the same thing. Why can't you do that?
Well,
because those movies are bad, and you just explained that earlier.
The Joker is not bad.
Talked about that earlier. But Spider-Man, he could show up, but they're not going to do just a rated R Spider-Man and Venom.
That's what I'm going to say. That's where you're starting to get muddy waters because you see it on Halloween. Well, by the way, happy Halloween, everybody. There are kids that want to go see Spider-Man. So you don't bring the kids to see Spider-Man and then have Carnage ripping people's heads off and ripping their guts out. I think a Spider-Man cameo or a first off Venom v Spider-Man could make sense before you branch off to Venom. Mm-hmm. And make Venom by himself, and that's where
you can have alternate universes as we so speak.
Oh, these are alternate universes. In this universe where that Carnage and that Venom live, I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
By the way, apparently they're really close to a deal on Spider-Man 4 with Marvel, and him then joining the teams for Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, which Spider-Man is a pivotal part.
Was that proven true?
Of Secret Wars, according to Twitter. Yeah.
Man, Disney's over there writing whatever check.
They are.
It's blank. Here, take it.
Because there's no way that after that Spider-Man Far From Home goes out and Marvel hits it out of the park like they do all the time, and then Sony sees that, and then they say, oh, no, we're going to take him back. No, you keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
Because you're making our character relevant.
So why not let them do it with their whole platform, right? And just split the cost, the money. Well, who cares? Does it Marvel really need to be? What if they put Sony's name first and then they put Disney Marvel second or whatever?
So here's the problem.
Does it really matter?
You're telling the mouse that he has to go second.
Yeah.
So just do it.
No.
He doesn't care about you that much. Because he doesn't care about you and me that much.
Yeah, and on top of that, the only thing they own is Spider-Man and everything that's inside of that. They own everything else Marvel.
They don't own X-Men.
Marvel does now own X-Men.
Yes,
yes.
All of it?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought it was just the animated
No,
shows.
They
no.
own
Marvel
everything.
owns X-Men.
Because they bought
own
Fox,
Technically, the only other thing they don't own too is the Hulk
Solo.
solo,
which
movie.
is
yeah.
your Sony. Someone like that CEO corporate.
So they don't own Solo Hulk. They can do whatever else they want with Hulk. As long as they have Hulk and one other character there,
So Hulk,
they can do Hulk.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man they don't have. They have Fantastic Four. They have X-Men. That's all done.
So it's just Venom then.
It's
No,
literally
it's the
just Spider-Man
Spider-Verse.
and the Spider-Verse.
Characters that were introduced through Spider-Man. So Black Cat, Mysterio, Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, Carnage, Venom, that whole group of villains,
Miles
Dr.
Morales.
Octopus, Sandman, they can't do them.
Yeah.
Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen,
Yeah, they
any of
can't
them.
do any of that.
But, one day that might change. Hey, let's take another break, and then let's talk about a few more things, actually, and then She-Hulk. All right? And we're going a little long. Sorry, but hey, guys, we missed you. We got stuff to talk about.
Yep.
And we're back. Last thing I want to talk about, a couple things before we get into She-Hulk here. We remember talking about the Marvel Iron Man game that's coming out. Apparently that EA deal is 3 AAA titles that are coming out, starting with Iron Man. That's official. They signed it. They both announced it. Good for them. Vision, who's kind of been not really talked about much. It's been announced that he is getting Vision Quest and will be coming to Disney Plus.
His own show, though? Does he really need his own show?
I think this is setting up for him finding. That's what they say it's going to focus on, is him finding himself and finding humanity and, kind of rebuilding the old Vision.
Do we need this?
I mean, he's a robot. So.
Yes, you do, because if you're going to do the Young Avengers or West Coast Avengers or whatever it is, Vision is their team lead. Vision is the guy who guides that whole team. And Paul Bettany's great. He's been great as Jarvis. He's an OG of the MCU. Yes, I think absolutely we need Vision Quest.
I'm sorry, his best work is Chaucer. I don't care what you say.
Is what?
Chaucer.
I don't know what that is.
Knight's Tale.
Oh.
What?
And
You never cease to amaze
the
me with
last
these
thing,
movies.
before we get into She-Hulk, there was a character not too long ago who played Black Manta in the Aquaman series. And he came out and said that comic book movies were clown work. Mr. Yahya Abdul Mateen
Who?
the second.
And then what happened?
He played Black Manta. He played Candyman. And then he just signed on to play Wonder Man for Disney Plus.
Oh,
So when did he say that this stuff was clown work?
When he was doing Aquaman 2 press.
So when is he in Aquaman too?
Yeah,
He's
as
the
Black
villain.
Manta. He's not the main villain, but yeah.
okay.
What's
That's
his name
true.
again?
But
He
like
was the main villain.
in the first one, did he do any of the body work when he had his helmet and mask on?
Probably not. It's probably a lot of CGI.
So in reality, he was on screen for like 48 seconds.
Yeah, he's on there for a good
Ouch.
minute. He's on there longer
Whatever.
than 48 seconds.
Well,
but
boom.
yeah. He's certainly not the lead in the movie. He's not even the second
That's
lead.
what I'm saying. Is
He's a subplot story.
But didn't he say that when they said that they weren't going to bring him back for that role, and then he's like, "Well, screw comic book movies, anyways. I didn't want to do them or some shit like that."
I didn't hear that they weren't bringing him back, but I just love that he called it clown work, and then Disney Plus becomes a thing.
And they're like, "Here's a bunch of zeros."
Here's a check. Please pay Wonder Man, who's a really, really powerful, important character, especially for the West Coast Avengers. And he's like, I think there's nothing I would like more than to play Wonder Man.
He's like, yeah, I got bills too.
Yeah.
There's nothing I would like more.
Yeah, you know what? Wonder Man sounds amazing. I'll be there. Yeah. Anyway, so let's get into She-Hulk.
let's do it.
Shall we? Let's talk She-Hulk. Do we want to get right into spoilers? Because She-Hulk's been done for a while.
Why
Why don't we
have
just
we
do
all
that?
seen it?
No.
Let's just jump into the pool.
You
This guy
failed.
who needed another couple days to watch it still didn't
Fail.
watch it. Yes. So She-Hulk. What is it? 9 episodes?
8?
Yeah. So my big thing with
8
She-Hulk
episodes.
was that I kept saying this show is not for your typical Marvel bro. And by Marvel bro, I mean guys that only want to go out to the movie to watch the guy get his ass kicked, and that's it. Right? Like they want to see Hulk smash. And this show does one of the most beautiful jobs of trolling people directly in their face that any show has ever done.
I like the name they chose for the group too.
Intelligentsia?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's like intelligence and it's like a bunch of idiots just acting a fool. I love the troll work from the whole show. And you know what? I was one of those guys in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was one of the guys in the beginning that was pissing all over the show, and I'm sorry. I apologize.
And I just got to say,
I eat my crow.
I'm looking right now at an Avengers from, let's see, October. Oh, geez, I can't even see how old this is. But it's a question. Oh, is Spider-Man an Avenger? Look right here. Look who's right there. She-Hulk. Look who's here. She-Hulk. She's been around longer than most of you have been alive. And you're complaining.
Most of us have been alive.
Yeah. Yeah, most of us. I mean, and people were coming at it, and I was thinking, I stopped because I watched this show called Screen Crush with Ryan Airy, which you should follow him. Check him out on YouTube. He's amazing. He breaks down a lot of stuff, and he looks at things from different angles, and he's obviously much more in tune with comics than your average bear. But he said something that really resonated with me is this show is not necessarily made for you, that regular Marvel goer. The people who don't see things from other point of view other than it's a superhero, they need to be a beat-em-up guy. This was meant to be a sitcom. It was meant to be funny, and it was meant to be geared toward women. And I think when I got that in my mind and I looked at it, I was like, oh shit, now it makes sense. I see why they went this way with the show. Now, does that mean it's going to be for you or for everybody? No. Not everything is for everybody. We've talked about that on this show plenty of times.
Plenty of times.
But She-Hulk, with what they had to bring this character in, introduce her, who is she, what does she do, and fourth wall break, building people around her, I think for 9 episodes, they absolutely crushed it.
The first few were a little rough, but once you get to a midpoint and on, it was just like, boom. Once it sped up and things like actually started happening that I wanted to see maybe, I'm like, damn, this is going to be good.
Like what?
Oh, I don't know. We could get to that. We can't just rip the Band-Aid completely off, right?
Okay.
I actually liked it a lot, too. I mean, I didn't finish it all the way through, but for them 6 episodes that I watched, this is my favorite MCU series probably.
Really?
Out of all of them. Just like...
Your favorite movie is also Mean Girls, so that makes sense.
I was going to say the same thing, but I didn't want to sound like that guy, but I agree with her.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that...
Not that I disagree, because Mean Girls is a fantastic movie.
I think that it's... Normally, too, I'm not going to lie, some of these I have to sit and I have to crush and watch a whole bunch of them.
Sure.
But this one, just like watching it in bite-sized pieces, even if I would have had to watch all 6 of them, it's kind of light, and I like it. I don't know.
It was very light.
It's like...
And I had... a lot of my friends, nobody at this table, who are messaging me going, She-Hulk sucks, dude.
I think I did message it in the beginning.
I know there was a lot of people who said, She-Hulk sucks. I mean, why are they making a girl Hulk? And I was sitting there like laughing on the other end, like, oh my God. And then I would hit them with that same response. Dude, She-Hulk's been around since 1980. What do you mean?
Yeah.
They didn't make a girl Hulk. Nobody's taking your Hulk away.
No.
And it followed pretty closely to like the comic book lore for her, like her being a comic book jumper and breaking the fourth wall. That's a real thing that she does.
She did it before Deadpool did it.
Yep. Where she literally, like in comics, she literally jumps from one, like she will literally jump from one comic box to another.
It'll be faster for me to get there if I just jump panels instead of buying a ticket and da-da-da-da-da. So on the comic page, she literally would jump from one page to the next.
This.
Yep. So, and she also, like the storyline of, I don't think how she ended up getting her powers was the same. No,
so the difference was it was a mob hit gone wrong. The mob tried to kill Bruce Banner, and they shot her. So the only way to save her was for Bruce to give her a blood transfusion. And in this movie, that Sakaran ship drops down, and then they have the car accident roll. She tries to help Bruce. He's warning her the whole time, don't touch me, get off me, I'm bleeding. And
his blood gets into her.
Gets into her, and she turns into She-Hulk. I didn't care about that change.
No, I didn't really care.
To introduce some group of mobsters that thought they were going to ride by and shoot the Hulk.
That's dumb. Because he could just transform in the car. He got mad. You shot at me. I'm mad.
Yeah.
It's over for you.
At first, I was a little upset, but then I was like, nah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, where would that mob come into play right now?
Yeah.
Like, where does it? What does this become a big deal?
Exactly.
And honestly, like you said, it's the Hulk. So Hulk just smash him.
Exactly. That's the big point. And this was about her, Jennifer Walters, as a character, and her dealing with her life becoming the Hulk, and everybody else that was watching the show. When I watched this, she says it out loud. This is about me. It's my show. And everybody wants it to be about my blood, or, you know what I mean? They want it to be some crazy existential crisis, and that's just not what it should be.
That's why I think I liked it too.
And I was like, and when they started doing the whole, we need to get her blood, I'm like, oh my God, every movie about the Hulk is about his fucking blood. Every single movie. Like in the original Hulk with Eric Bana, it's him trying to get his blood. Ed Norton, the whole thing that creates Eric Bana, or creates Abomination, and the leader was the Hulk's blood. I mean, the only one that really doesn't do that is a Thor movie in Ragnarok. Yeah. So I didn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. So for her to eventually come out and say, it doesn't make sense, guys. Stop trying to make this movie. Stop trying to make this thing happen. Let's move on. And then you start to see these different shows and see, or different characters develop, which this one did the best job of developing other characters in the show. Yeah. I felt. Not that other ones didn't do a great job, but this one was the best. Like, I think about Loki, you don't get to see too much about Morbius. You don't get to see much about his life and what he does and why he is the way he is. You just learn that he likes jet skis and he eventually doesn't like the TVA. Yeah. Bucky and Captain America, they learn a little bit about his family, and you learn more about Bucky, which is great, but he's the main character. But this one had Pug. They had all the other folks that worked at LKJ&H. You had Matt Murdock finally make an appearance.
Oh my God! Yeah. And let me tell you, what an appearance! But you also had, they broke it down to where the guy who dresses the superheroes,
Jacobson.
Yeah, and they did this whole like, oh, he creates these superheroes. It was just really good.
Yeah, and the fact that he comes in, and they're like, we need to see the client list, and Matt Murdock goes, no, you can't do that.
One of the greatest.
The Sokovia Accords have been repealed. So there's a big movement in the world right there, is in the world of law and legalities. I think we're going to start seeing She-Hulk pop in a lot of stuff.
It was such a good reveal, too, because they teased this little box in like that episode, and you're like, what's in there? Is it who I think it is? Is it time? And then you finally get to see it, and like oh, man. When they revealed the Deadpool shit, I was like...
You mean Daredevil?
Daredevil, yeah. I was like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So good.
He was a very different Daredevil than we've seen before, too.
Very different.
Because the Daredevil from Netflix was very dark and brooding and very, I got to save my city. And this guy was like, hey, you said you're going to whoop my ass. Here I am. You didn't whoop my ass.
I like that they're going to actually do maybe a collab of forces with Daredevil that isn't Green, what's his name? Bobby Rand and all them.
Oh, Iron Fist and Luke Cage.
We're actually going to get a good combo of like Daredevil and like the Defenders.
You may, but I don't know if you will or not.
Because then you can bring in the Punisher, and at that point you create the massive task force with her and She-Hulk and all them. You build up that lower level.
Well, She-Hulk is not a lower level.
No, that street level stuff.
She's not street level.
She can become.
She-Hulk is an Avenger. That's who she is in the comics. She's that top tier. She's not a throwaway character. Not that you were saying that, but those street level problems, they kind of show you that She-Hulk is not street level with the Ribbit and Rip It episode. Because when he's like, here, I'm going to go in there and take you. You're going to take 30 minutes taking out bad guys one by one while I sit up here. And then she walks in and just dominates all of them. Like they're not even standing there. And I'm like... This is why She-Hulk there are levels, right? When he's like, I can hear their heartbeats. There's 18 of them, and there's 7 here, there's 8 here. And she's like, what are you talking about? They just showed that She-Hulk is on a whole nother level than everybody else. So I'd love to see her get developed, but I think it's going to be something different. I think Sorcerer Supreme, Wongers, and Madison with a Y.
Oh, my God. She was so amazing.
Yeah,
but it's not where you think.
Madison with a Y, but it's not where you think.
Yeah. One of my other point that I wanted to make was I feel like they somewhat dumbed her down a little bit because she's a woman. Like the Hulk grabs somebody, takes him, throws him a mile away.
Yeah.
She grabs somebody, just kind of throws him across the room. And it's like...
Kind of gives like a personality. I didn't mind that. I get what you're saying, where it's just he's brute. But like, I didn't mind that she created like a personality where she wasn't just a brute Hulk. Like she could laugh. She could...
I liked it more because they talked about it. And he's like, you got to learn how to control your anger. And she says, I'm angry all the time, Bruce. What are you talking about? I deal with all this stuff that you're calling anger and rage and things that you deal with every day. That's what I do. So her being able to control it, I was like, huh, that makes it so much better. And the throwing something for 100 yards, why does she it's just so why does she have to? Not that she doesn't need to. Because
I kind of want to add in on that because, and I don't know, I'm sorry, I had to step out. We have a very upset baby tonight, so that's why I've been hardly here. But to add to that is that and I don't know if it's something you had prefaced before talking about her specifically and dealing with her anger, but I think that is part of this was built for women thing.
Yeah.
Because, and this coming from the women's opinion, and maybe nobody at the table will agree with that, but women deal with things very differently. They internalize things and they work through things and they just do it mentally differently. So it's like when you're dealing with anger, a lot of that is just we just push it into different parts of our brain and deal with it in compartments as opposed to
right.
Dealing with things in the moment of anger.
I'm going to say like a hypothetical situation for those of you who have spouses that are women out there. You have an issue. I'm going to bring Ryan in on this one.
Oh,
this
man,
is when I'm going
to
directly talk about Ryan in this because his wife was my work wife for a long time. Abby, she and I worked together. I used to tease her relentlessly in a funny, joking way.
He did.
And so she would come home and say something to Ryan, and Ryan's response, makes me laugh my ass off now, was, do I need to come down there? And think about that as a guy response.
Yeah.
What are we naturally as men, and Megan can say she's heard that from me.
Mm-hmm.
I have gone down there and been like, hey, what the is your problem? And we get combative. That's why we handle things.
Yep.
Women don't always handle that the same way. So to see She-Hulk, and they're like, she's not even hulking out and raging. Yeah, no, she's not.
It's because women deal with things differently.
Exactly.
Women do tend to be pretty emotional.
And I do think that it was, and I mean, and I didn't honestly, like he said something about it earlier. It's like I didn't, as someone who watches this stuff all the time and is someone who is a woman, I didn't necessarily notice that it was so like heavy-handed in the women department.
Yeah.
Like I really didn't when he said something. I was like about what that the guy that wrote the article or the video or whatever you were talking about before.
Yeah, Ryan Airy, yeah.
Him, yeah. He had said something to me about that earlier, and I was like, oh, I didn't really think of it that way because I just watch this stuff and I take it for what it is and I like it for what it is, and it just, I don't really see it as quite as black and white as you do, in it being so different in comparison to like other comic book characters. But like, I think the whole series might have been a smidge heavy-handed in this show is for women side of things. But at the same time, it's like it was really like pretty accurate. Like it was pretty accurate in that regard.
It was. And that's where I think about it like that is like, I kind of looked at it from her perspective. Nobody in her life, aside from her father and her mother and Daredevil, wanted her to be Jen Walters.
Yeah.
She becomes a Hulk. She gets this big job offer. The big job offer says, you're great. We want you. She's like, oh, great. But you can only be here if you're She-Hulk. If you're not the She-Hulk, you're fired.
But they proved that with the whole wedding thing and how the intelligentsia guy got the blood or whatever.
Well, no. I'm just talking about themes of the show.
Right.
So when she becomes She-Hulk, all these guys, they only want to date the She-Hulk.
Yep.
She even gets it with a guy, and then the next morning she's Jen, and he's like, who are you?
Yeah. No,
she's like, this is just my normal self. And he's like, I'm going to leave. Imagine that from the other side of the perspective. If you are this superhero and when you finally let your guard down to be with somebody or be accepted by somebody and they're like, imagine how that must feel.
That's a very good way of representing like women. And I mean, this could be both, this could go both directions, but they did very well in kind of depicting how women are in relationships or how they are in the workforce, because unfortunately that a lot of that, and it's, again, we don't have superhero women in the workforce. We don't have two different women in every relationship. However, if you want to compare it and really dumb it down to, societal women today, is that there's the makeup and the hair and there's all this like expectation and weight and all that shit that's supposed to be, you're supposed to be X, Y, and Z. And then, like you said, you see the true side of someone when they wipe their face off and they, fart in front of you for the first time, and all of a sudden you're like, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like it's very different, but it's like, it kind of like when you look at it from the women's perspective and you look at it that way, you're kind of like, okay, I really see that. And same thing with kind of like in the workforce is like there are women who are, and I could use myself as an example, who, especially now, I'm a infant mother now. So it's like, I'm not just a employee. I'm not just someone who is thriving in my career and trying to be successful. I am also a mother at home, and not that Jack isn't a father at home, but it's like when you're a woman, the expectation is you're going to take care of the kids. And so unfortunately in the workforce, and again, two very different things, but if you're comparing She-Hulk to being Megan single with no responsibilities and Megan with kids and family and home and life as Jen, then it's like, so I mean, it's very different realities. But from a women's perspective, if a woman is watching this and really seeing kind of the underlying things that it's trying to portray, I could totally see why this is a very female superhero action TV show.
Yeah.
Like, I can totally see that.
It definitely is lacking a lot of the action that you would expect with the name Hulk in the title.
Right.
And me personally, that was one of the things I loved about the show.
I kind of like that too. I like how they had the first episode. Here it is, your training session, and then that's pretty much
off you go.
But like the villain in this whole She-Hulk used that human weakness that she had to their advantage. That was the only way they got her blood.
Yeah.
That was how they got her phone. That was how they got all those pictures. Remember when she was getting the award? Mm-hmm. So they used the humanity in her as a weapon. Right, yes, as a way of getting in, because that was her only weakness. Well, because she's a superhero, and I like that about the show. How it's like we don't have to defeat the superhero; we can defeat the person.
So this show did something that I endeared it to me, and a lot of people hated the finale. But
what?
I don't understand that. But this is maybe the group of guys that talk to me about Marvel stuff. Maybe this is just who they are. But and that's okay. But like they were like, oh, the finale sucked. And I watched the finale expecting it to suck. And I was like, no, I like this. Let's dive into that, shall we? This was really cool for me to see as somebody who's watched Marvel from the announcement of Iron Man to where it is now. And the writer's room going, and her going, why are we doing the blood thing? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing all these cliche things? We always do this. And that, to me, is a shot out to the, comic elitists who are always like, no, this needs to be like this. This is the story, so She-Hulk has to say this on page 2. And they're like, why? Why can't it be different? Why can't it be something else? Why can't we accept that?
And this was such an aggressive break of the fourth wall for her that I loved it so much.
Me
and
too.
Just like the Kevin thing.
Kevin Feige.
I mean,
bot or whatever.
Like, just to break that down for just a quick second, since we're like symbolizing everything.
Yes.
The fact that why they obviously called this thing Kevin, because it's like he is just the almighty, the brain, the power, the decision maker, blah, blah, blah of Marvel. We all know that Kevin Feige is basically God of Marvel. He is God of Marvel. That's just not even a joke.
Well, he holds all the.
All the
how
power.
about the fact that she shows up at Marvel? A lot of cool Easter eggs there, by the way.
Yes.
He goes, "Will you sign the NDA?" And she's going through the NDA for like 30 seconds, and he hits the panic button. She goes, "Why'd you make me sign the NDA if you were just going to do that anyway?"
We make everyone sign.
Make everybody sign the NDA.
But just the fact that Kevin ends up being not Kevin Feige and is just literally an AI giant machine. I don't know if we were diving into that spoiler.
Yes, exactly.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, this is pretty epically funny that they're comparing him to basically this AI masterful brain, because that's basically what he is. And I thought that shit was hilarious. And the fact that he was like, see on the big screen, she was like, really? He's like, no.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah. How about this one? She's like, when are we going to see the X-Men? And then she turns to the screen like
thumbs up
to the crowd. And I was like, we feel you, Jen Walters.
I loved that. And that's perfect because that's such a fan. It's such like a hat tip to the fans who have all been saying that for years.
Yeah.
When are we going to see the X-Men, Kevin?
Like that was She-Hulk looking at all the fans and being a fan in the moment and going like, guys, don't worry. I'm asking for you. Yeah. I'm asking on behalf of you where the X-Men are.
The last X-Men movie I saw was terrible.
Which was?
The Phoenix.
It also wasn't. None of them were done in the MCU though.
No.
None of them have actually been done in the MCU.
But this is the X-Men, which is I don't want to finish on that. I want to finish on She-Hulk, but the X-Men has been there's nothing there. We've heard nothing about the X-Men. We've seen 2 nods to Wolverine in this show, and then where are the X-Men? Other than that, we've seen nothing. The man fights in a bar with knives. Yeah, man fight. Well, I guess we've seen as much Fantastic Four as we have X-Men.
Yeah,
but for him to say
there's been more bad X-Men.
There's been the man fighting with the knives knives on his hands, and then at the end of the second to last episode where her paralegal, whose name I can't remember, but she's
amazing. I
all
love
the
her so much.
JKL H, whatever their preparation H, that whole law firm, all the people they had there, I loved them. Pug, the paralegal, the other...
Oh, the dude that infiltrates the bro fest?
Pug was my guy.
And I love how angry he gets and how defensive he is of them. I love that so much.
What is her paralegal's name?
I don't know,
solid.
but when she's getting ready to do her makeup for the gala,
comes in with
has
the
all the makeup
pins
brushes
in her, and she's like, come on, let's get you ready. And I was like, she's doing Wolverine, man. She's doing Wolverine.
It's so simple, but it's so accurate.
Right. So I don't know if you heard this, but Ryan said it was his best one. His
I did
favorite
hear him
one.
say that. I'm not really surprised. I liked it. I mean, I was a little unsure at first too. The first few episodes, not that it was. I don't know. There was in the beginning. There was just something about it that I felt like I had to watch it, and I wasn't watching it to enjoy it.
No. And it took time to grow. And once it did, I'm like, okay.
Once the ball started to roll, and especially when she started heavily breaking the fourth wall, like the wedding episode where she was like, "This is a wedding episode, has nothing to do with the plot, so here we go." And I was I fucking love this.
She goes, "Weddings are always inconvenient to your life anyway, so here it is."
Yeah. And I did like it. I liked it a lot.
But it was
very part of the plot. Obviously, it's not like she knew that she was getting herself into dating some dick that was going to steal her blood and take a picture of her naked, but that's beside the point.
And I also like how it's modern, now, things like that with a guy taking your blood. Or not taking your blood, but taking pics of you without you knowing.
I used to do that with all the girls I would date. I would take their blood, test it for Hulk, Gamma.
Yeah, my blood's out there somewhere.
I'm out there trying to clap green cheeks. You know what I mean? Swiping on Tinder. What's up?
I realized the show had potential when she gets in the first fight. She's like, really? Minor tools?
Yeah.
You think you're going to get me with minor tools?
You guys, what are these, Asgardian minor tools? And they're like, yeah. And she's like, okay, let's do this.
Exactly. It was so good.
And I just kind of had an epiphany in regards to the fact that she was cycling through dating these people. And I think that it's kind of another kind of nod to the way that she was insecure about herself, about Jen, because of what she went through as a She-Hulk and dating and all that shit. And it's she had the situation with Josh, who obviously that shit went south. She really kind of dove into Matt Murdock, and I wonder if that had a lot to do with the fact that he was blind. That's my female brain thinking.
Also the fact that
she liked him, and there was a little there was obviously heavy chemistry there, but the fact that she was like, let's just skip dinner and dive right into it, it was kind of I as a woman, I think to myself, I wonder if this in her heart of hearts, she was thinking to herself, he's not going to know the difference between She-Hulk and Jen.
That's what I was going to say.
You know what I mean?
I think he would.
Well,
no,
let's just be real for 1 second here. He will definitely know the difference.
Yes.
You like green cheeks and ham?
You get what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? You'll have some of that.
I'm just saying, as a woman, that's the type of shit you think of. It's like, oh, well, he's blind, so what the hell difference does it make? He's not going to...
He knew the difference.
You know?
He has very good sensory images, and he
He has that echolocation.
Has really, really good
he just
hearing.
bangs pots together to see what he's looking at.
I want a Wong show.
Or
Dude,
Wong
same.
and Madison.
Just give me Wong.
I love it. Oh, Wonger. Did you guys talk about her?
We did talk about
Madison.
Madison.
I loved that girl so much. Just the perfect its. I loved her so much.
God damn.
The one thing I want to talk about
Megan Stallion
next week, a couple of the members in this room are going to get to see Wakanda Forever.
Oh man!
How exciting! So I was going to say, that's the future. We've got Wakanda Forever, and then we've got Secret Wars.
Unfortunately, if I can be here for that episode.
Secret Wars. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?
Who's going to be who?
Who's
Black
going to be
Panther?
Black Panther? Before
Meg
Shuri,
Thee
give me your
Stallion.
guy.
I'm Shuri. I think it's Shuri.
Shuri, what do you think?
Meg Thee Stallion.
Shuri.
Yada 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 yada.
Unfortunately, if I could be here for that whole
If
episode, and we
Lego's
have a very
right, it's
cooperative
Shuri.
baby.
Let's see.
It's not Lego anymore. Now
It's gonna be
there's
spoiled
practically 7 trailers out there that look like it's going to be Shuri. I would love to be wrong. There's also a one out there. They introduced Namor meeting the Queen and Shuri when they don't expect it. It's out there as a trailer. He's like, they go, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Oh, my family talked about this land. The air is so sweet. They don't feel oppressed." She goes, "I'm not going to ask you again, who are you?" And he goes, "My people call me Kutul Khan," or whatever. He goes, "But my enemies call me Namor." And he looks at her like that. And she's like, it's that just tense moment. I'm like, uh-oh.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. It's going to be good. Thank you so much for tuning into episode 123 of Alter Ego. Follow us on Facebook. Check us out on Discord. Email us, Alter Ego Podcast. I mean, all that jazz. Do the things that we're asking you to do. Thank you so much to Geared Hardware and Tony Anellos for sponsoring the episode. We will see you guys next week where we're talking about...
I don't know.
Your mom's house.
To be determined.
That's
How
a
about
good
Rings of
podcast.
Power? How about Rings of Power?
yeah, let's do Rings of Power.
No. See you then.